Hey guys, this is Sony Xperia Z3 Compact, and this is Phil from undercage.com. So this is smaller than the most of the phones in the mainstream market right now, and the thing about the smaller phone is that most of the times when the screen goes smaller, the specs get lower as well. But this was an exception along with Xperia Z1 Compact, which is its predecessor. With the smaller screen size, it had most of the full spec specifications inside its body. So let's take a look at it. Along with the Snapdragon 801 processor and 2 GB of RAM, it's one of the top-notch specs in the market still. It's got a Sony logo, sensors, front-facing camera, and one of the stereo speakers on top right there, which also works as a receiver for your phone calls, and 4.6 inches of a 720p display that's 1280 by 720 pixels. No keys on the bottom. This all soft keys built into the screen. To the right is a power key with the volume rocker and the dedicated camera key. And this side is a translucent plastic, and it gets more obvious and sort of prettier in the other colors. It comes in white, orange, black, and green. So Xperia Z1 Compact had it with the metal, and this guy comes with the plastic finishes, and depends on your taste. I personally prefer the metal finishes better, but it's not bad actually, the plastic finishes. To the top is a 3.5mm headphone jack along with this noise cancelling microphone, and the four corners over here are cut with the plastic chips, and they are believed to absorb some of the dropping forces, so it prevents your screen getting cracked, more or less. And to the left is a micro SD card slot over here. You can open up the flap. That's for your waterproof functionality. This phone is waterproof, and there's a micro USB port, micro SD card slot, expandable up to 128 gigabytes. Under that is a magnetic port that allows you to charge your phone without opening the flap open and back again. And below that is a nano SIM card tray along with the little paper over here, little paperish thingy over here that's hidden under your phone with the certifications and your phone information and so on and so forth. Usually those things are engraved on the back of the phone, and those are not exactly the prettiest letters on the word to put on your phone. So they just decided to hide it over inside the phone. And the bottom is the strap hole right there. You can just put your strap if you prefer to. Microphone. And that's pretty much it. To the back is 20.7 megapixels of camera, LED flash, NFC Sony, and Xperia logo. If you want to take a look at the orange one over here, this is how they look. Orange one has the black front panel. Alrighty. So before we get started, there are some things that we expect from Sony. The multimedia functions mainly. Better photos, better sound quality, and perhaps the battery with its extended stamina mode. And first thing that I noticed with the review unit, the one first delivered was the orange one, and the flap over here just wouldn't close. And Sony had most of the quality control issues that some of its products shipped wasn't exactly perfect, and neither was my first review unit. It wouldn't get closed, so I had to get a replacement, and the camera shutter key, without even pressing that hard, stopped working within a week. So we got a replacement, and this guy seems to work fine. So let's take a look inside the software. The lock screen is usually the same. The Sony launcher really haven't changed much since they updated for Android KitKat. The icons got a little bigger. This is following the changes of the Android KitKat, and there are not exactly many functions that's interesting. It's got an Android 4.4.4, and that's pretty much the standard nowadays. And to the multimedia specific functions, it's got improved sound, audio management. Of course, it's got a clear audio plus sound effects. It's got more equalizer as well. Of course, the clear bass is there, and along with the sound, surround sound, S4 front surround, and headphone specific functions. And it also supports USB DAC, so if you want to connect just a DAC to USB port without getting into the phone's DAC, the sound goes directly to the USB DAC, so you can enjoy better quality. You can also change the microphone sensitivity depending on how noisy of an area that you are on right now. And to the display functions, it's got an image enhancement. Usually it came with the X Reality, but it has now Super Vivid mode. Both X Reality and Super Vivid mode manipulates your photo a lot. So unless you are really bored by the colors reproduced by your screen, I suggest you not turn that on. Of course, the basic functions like smart backlight control that does not turn off your screen as long as you're holding your phone still is there, and tap to wake up is still there. This is a bit sensitive, so I suggest you turn that off until the further update comes out. So those are the basic multimedia functions along with the additional function they added. This is called record screen. So there is a little bar over here. You can tap over there and you can say and do some functional movements on your screen, and you can stop the recording and it's going to be saved. And when you play it back, save and do some functional movements on your screen. Along with your voice, what you've done on your phone is recorded as a video file, so you can share more easily for the people who are having difficulties with using your phone, using their smartphones. And those are pretty much what's inside this phone. And let's jump through to some of the problems that I found with this phone. So aside from the good specs that on the spec sheet, the first thing that I found, of course, was not closing flat. Let's just call this a little minor problem. I get a replacement, so that's fine. Another problem that I found, firstly with the screen, was the ghost touches. So while I'm scrolling, and I'm going to take the finger away from the screen, and it's still going to recognize my finger as scrolling, as on the phone. So it kind of generates problems when you're typing on your screen, because it's going to think your finger is still on the screen when it's actually off the screen. So no glove mode is turned on, but their touchscreen problem still is there. It doesn't immediately take your finger off the screen, so that's a little problem. And the second problem that I found was the white balance. So the screen is too bluish, so to say. So you might not recognize this for now since I calibrated the screen a bit, but here's the iPad mini. This is not exactly the most accurate screen in the world, but it's not a bad example to compare your screen with. So that's iPad mini 3, and this is the Samsung Galaxy Alpha. And this is Xperia Z3 Compact. This is calibrated value, and the default one came like that. That's a lot bluer than it's supposed to be. Of course, you can adjust it with the white balance function on the phone, but you're going to lose some of your brightness. It's going to get a bit darker since it's modifying the screen along with the tones. So that's definitely a hardware problem, if not a software issue at least. And the calibration seems to be terrible on this phone. And another thing that I found was that the screen is not exactly entirely clear. So let's take a look at it. So this is like a solid color. This doesn't have any pattern inside it. And when I look closer to the screen, there's somehow a weird pattern, like a grid on the screen. This is not due to the lower resolution of the screen. I don't think the screen is even in that low of a resolution. And there seems to be a little grid there, so that's another problem that I found. And another thing is that speaker, the front-facing speaker, is to say, the sounds are not clear. Let's just simply put that. I know that it's a waterproof smartphone, and I know that the sound on the waterproof smartphone can't be as clear or crisp as the non-waterproof smartphone, but this is too much. Even compared to the Xperia Z1 Compact or the Z2s, this still kind of mummers up the sound. And I found it extremely hard to listen to a voice or any speech when I'm watching a movie or listening to a song. So that's another problem. Overall performance is pretty good. Of course, it's got a Snapdragon 801, 2 GB of RAM, yet it only resides with the 720p display. So the performance is amazing how it runs without any lags and without any problems. But and the battery is also good, 2600 milliamps of battery, and it also, again, runs only with 720p display, so the battery is amazing. It's as good as the Samsung Galaxy S5. But aside from that, the basic multimedia functions and camera isn't that good either, and those things that you basically expect from Sony just isn't there. Of course, the good thing about the Xperia Z3 Compact is that it's a small phone. We're going to compare iPhone 5S and the Galaxy Alpha. It still is a small phone compared to the smaller phones in the market, especially when you put the bigger phones around, like the Galaxy S4 or the Xperia Z1. It definitely is a small phone with the powerful specs inside. But just the basic multimedia functions that you expect from Sony just isn't there. And I'm not even entirely sure if I can call this as a good smartphone when the call quality isn't that good. People usually said I should switch my phone to another one. They couldn't hear my voice very clearly over Xperia Z3 Compact. So that's Z3 Compact. This isn't exactly how you would expect from the spec sheets. I know the spec sheets were amazing and this sounded like a total deal, but there are minor glitches and major glitches as well. Sound quality, display, the ghost touches, and camera issues. Those are the main things that should bother you from getting an Xperia Z3 Compact. It's not a bad phone, but I wouldn't recommend this to anyone basically. So that was Xperia Z3 Compact. If you want to take more photos or watch other reviews, of course, there's our YouTube channel, but we got our homepage as well. That's undercage.com. Don't forget to drop by if you want to check out more photos or reviews. And don't forget to subscribe to our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and Google+. We'll see you guys later, and we'll get back, so stay tuned.